Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us for another episode of One Take because life has no rehearsal. And today I am absolutely honored to introduce and to interview Ian Beavis. Ian is one of the most well rounded individuals you'll ever meet. He's been in the client side, in the agency side, on the research side. He's visited how many? 128 countries,
Yeah.
which is a huge amount of countries. I feel slighted. I've only visited like 90, so I feel inferior right now. Three things. He's a car guy. He worked for Australia twice. Then he also worked for Kia, and today he works for AMCI, or which is a global car company, a strategic car company. So he's very much part of the car industry that I myself was a part of, and I absolutely love. So, Ian, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Pleasure. Thank you.
And let's begin with the obvious. By the time we get here and we're alive, we've had many decisive moments. It isn't just one. If you only have one decisive moment, either you're really boring as an individual or you're very young. So we've had many. Tell me like the one that really shook you to your boots. The one decisive professional moment that really defined you.
I would say it was when I'd left Ford Australia and joined Saatchi and Saatchi Advertising in Australia, and they just picked up the Toyota business. And I was offered the opportunity to go to the United States to set up strategic planning at Saatchi and Saatchi in California on the Toyota business. Had two young children and a wife who'd never been outside the country, and I said yes. And it was something I'd never considered. And the plan was I would go to the United States, do for 2 years, learn about how the operation worked there, then come back and run the Toyota business and the agency eventually in Australia. There's a whole other story around all that. Anyway, what that did, I had never been a strategic planner, but I always loved strategy. If I was going to a country, to a company, to a job that I had zero background in. So it was an enormous leap of faith. And I frankly think it was an enormous leap of faith by my wife to say, well, okay. But it changed everything because what I discovered out of that is that I'm actually really good at that side of things. But I discovered what really motivated me. How you quite often fall into things. I wanted to be an art and history teacher. Went into the whole thing, looked around the room on the orientation day and said, I'm going to be stuck with all these people for the rest of my life, and walked out and joined Ford. So that was sort of a changer. But this shift was into a completely different area for me. And what I discovered is what I really, really like is things that are disruptive, where there's an enormous amount of turmoil and change, where I can influence and move things. I'm not very good with something that's status quo. I often talk about change management, and one of the things I get to is I tell people that the only person who usually likes change is a wet baby. I think I'm permanently a wet baby.
Okay, so that's the second scatological reference in my podcast. I hope that's not a trend, but it seems to be going there. Like that's interesting. I never thought about it that way, but I avoid wet babies. Absolutely.
I do too, but
Yeah.
that really was changed. So it propelled my career in different directions. So many years with the agency, I moved all over the world with Saatchi's, then went back to the client side, then back to the agency, then back to the client side. But in all cases, it was about when I was rehired the second time at Ford, it was to bring about change at Lincoln Mercury. They brought me in as a change agent. When I went to other agencies and other jobs, change agent. When I went to Kia, it was as a change agent. And that's something I find enormously stimulating. I was brought up by a pretty good businessman, my dad, and he said, son, you've got to remember that no is the commencement of negotiation. So in my world, when you're going in as a change agent, you've got a lot of people saying no. We've always done it like that. And so I love that challenge. I love that opportunity to change and move people. Sometimes what I really enjoy is when I've moved them and they haven't even realised it. That to me, that's the ultimate. Is where,
Yeah.
and when you get finally, I've had several situations where someone's finally come out with something about the change, and they've said it's their idea and it was mine, but I don't care because they've accepted it.
Right. Yeah, that's the best way to sell an idea. Make it
Totally.
somebody else's, and
Yep.
yeah,
Totally.
and
Yep.
you're done.
Yep.
Now you're smack in the middle of the car industry. I love the car industry. My very first job when I was 22 was being the creative on the launch of the Renault 5 TS, the Total
Mhm.
Sport,
Yep. Yep.
which I always thought it was a joke. I mean, like a Renault 5 Total Sport, like what? Like it's an Alpina 310, right? But it's a Renault 5. But I worked on the Fiero account. I worked on General Motors. I love the car business.
Mm.
So on the one hand, if there is a business that has changed in the last 2 years, it is a car business.
Totally.
EVs, autonomous driving, people complaining about it, the politicization of EVs, which is the most stupid thing in the world, like politicization of technology. Like, who cares?
Yep.
I mean, the cars move and they move really fast. I drove the Tesla Ludicrous, the S100.
Yeah, I've driven it too.
Dude, it's like somebody comes in and bam, punches you in the chest.
It's very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
Well, I just found the whole thing scary. I mean, like 0 to 60, like in 2 seconds. That's Formula One
Yeah.
territory.
Yep.
So, but of all of the things, I mean, what changed in a way that in 1,000 years you would have never seen it coming if you were a logical person?
In the auto industry, certainly where we've gone with electrification and where it's going now, I've been telling people for 20 years that's where it's going to end up. So I saw that coming. I think the thing that I hadn't seen coming um, really was this almost relentless drive for automated driving. Um, I've always felt that there's a place for it, but the belief of so many OEMs that there is actually a business case for this, with the sort of technology that exists in it, for people for everyday driving, I'm still struggling with. And I also know that you've got people like Waymo and Cruise and all the rest of them playing around with the idea of autonomous driving as a business. And none of them have got a business case that works yet. So I, I think I can see autonomous taxis and those sorts of things. I absolutely can. But how much autonomy is really what people want in their cars, and broadly, is something I didn't see coming, and I haven't bought it yet. I can see the taxi piece, but I can't see why you want to pay $8,000 to sit with the car, and it drives itself. Why would you even
Well,
bother?
could it be in part? I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking about Miami, New York, New
Well,
Jersey,
bad
but
traffic, I can see it.
in the middle, like traffic has gotten heavier.
Yeah.
Not only that, most of the big cities have really bad public transportation. It isn't like in Madrid. In
Right.
Madrid, I'm looking for an apartment. All I'm looking around is, does it have a subway near?
Yeah.
That's it, because the subway works. But in Miami, there's no public transportation. I can see the case for having a self-driving car in the middle of US one, which we call useless one, or I-95. Yes, thorough.
Yeah.
Or I-95 at 3 to 7 p.m. Like I can see the case.
I can see the stop-start piece, heavy traffic piece, which is, frankly, it doesn't require the level of technology that they're going to put in these cars. I just can't see it as a means of driving around your car as a general thing. I can see, being stuck on the 405 like your I-90. Yeah, okay, stop-start traffic, fine. But as a general way of operating cars for individuals, I just can't see it. Certainly not in my lifetime.
Yeah, I can't see it either. And of course, you drive a Supra. I drive an Alfa Romeo. I mean, like we drive drivers' cars.
Yeah, we're
You
preaching
know,
to the choir.
yes, we both drive things that they go really fast and they demand a lot of engagement.
Yep,
So talking about engagement though, because you run a company that advises clients,
yep.
so you see all of this coming. You have your doubts. The doubts are not flimsy doubts. The doubts are born out of knowing the industry, analyzing the industry, talking to consumers. What do you tell your customer? How did you cope with that change, or how are you coping with that change?
Well, I can tell you a very funny story. Our CEO, he would make the comment that the only reason I'm still working is because I've been telling people this is going to happen for 20 years, and I want to be around to say I told you so to all these people that doubted me. And there is a bit of that, I have to tell you. But I just gave a presentation on basically on where the EV revolution is going, and pointed out to people that that we got over the edge of our skis. We got way ahead of ourselves. Several of the OEMs got way ahead of themselves in electrification. And the way I do that is give them data, because there's opinions and there's data, and I believe data informs opinions. But when you have uninformed opinions, for instance, when we're talking about AI, I tell people I'm not frightened of AI. I'm frightened of the human stupidity. That's what really frightens me. AI is fine. But the electrification is going to take a long time. Best example I can give you is there's 1.47 billion cars on the road, and of those, only 40 million are full electric.
Oh, wow.
And the average car on the road is 11 to 12 years old, depending on how you measure it.
Yep.
So if we get to, say, 30% full EV sales worldwide by, say, 2030, with the rate of scrappage and the rate of sales, because scrappage worldwide is about 40 million cars a year, and new car sales every year is about 83 million. You see what's going on here. Full EVs will not get to even to any more than 40% of the whole car park by 2050. The math doesn't work any other way. So we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. The other thing is that there's not going to be one solution. There's going to be multiple solutions to this. And so people like Elon Musk who say that hydrogen's a fool's errand. No, it's not for a large truck, because his bloody batteries are too goddamn heavy. The moment his semi-trailer is carrying around potato chips, that is not the way to operate a semi-trailer. So there's what I'm advising is you've got to be very much more nimble, and it's hard in a very intensive, a capital intensive industry like automotive. Automotive though has gotten much faster, and it's going to get faster. So that's a good thing. And so there's going to have to become more flexibility in terms of platforms and configurations of vehicles and technologies. And you're going to see, the battery technology we're going to have in 10 years hasn't even been invented yet.
That's what I think. I'm like 100% there. I never joined the range fear thing, mainly because my Alpha has a range literally of. I'm sorry about the thunder. I'm in Miami. We have a storm. It is what it is. So my Alpha has a range of only between 215 and 250 miles. That's it.
Yeah.
It could be that I drive really heavy and I drive in
Oh,
deep.
you think?
Could very well be the traffic. I don't know. It could be the tires. Yeah, but that's all. That's my range. Like, and maybe in the highway I get a bit more. Like in the like city, I only get literally 14 miles to the gallon. That's it. It's really bad, and I drive like a maniac. I mean, like I just accelerate all of the time. Highway, yeah, I get 28 miles to the gallon, whatever. So I'm not worried about range. I'm worried about recharging speed.
Yeah.
To me, this is where the battery needs to go.
Yeah.
Go in, recharge the damn thing, and 5 minutes, you're done.
We do a test. AMCI has a test called the MP6 test, which is miles per 6 minutes. How many miles can you add to an electric car? Because 6 minutes is what it takes to fill an average fuel tank. And so the magic number is to get 80% charging under 10 minutes. That's where everyone's going. But you've got several people that are now getting 80% charging, testing it and getting it down to about 6 minutes. So we're getting close. And you're dead right. The other thing is that people need to think about how they charge. You don't charge a fully depleted battery. You should be doing snacking. So when you go to the shop, put it in, just charge it up. But if it's fast, it'll do it. But the battery chemistries we have at the moment with that type of charging will suffer. So we've got to get some better technology. Solid state's certainly going to be a step in that direction. But there's some other chemistries that are even better than that potentially. But we've still got a long way to go. But I would just say this, and this is what I say to any of my automotive clients. If you look at where we are with EVs, it's the same place that the internal combustion engine motor vehicle was in the 1920s.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, in the 1920s, they didn't have gas stations in every corner. And
No.
by the way, the other thing that I also found has changed radically is the future of the gas station.
Yep.
Uh, I read some poor soul in LinkedIn. Oh yeah, you can imagine that cars are gonna be 20 minutes in the gas station.
No,
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 they're
no.
not. All of my I live in a place with houses, right? So, and all of my neighbors are upper class, so it's fine. I'm the only one who's like middle class, but like all of them. So they have Taycans, they have Teslas. A couple of them have Minis. One of them has an electric Jeep, whatever. And nobody has bought the Hummer yet, like your neighbors.
Whoa, that thunder.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You should.
Whoa.
Terrible. So all of my neighbors, they come in, they park, they bring out the electric thing, plop, and then the next morning is charged. So
Yeah.
I guess the future of the gas station has also become more like I'm gonna buy snacks and coffee and
Well, that's where their business model is anyway.
yes,
Hmm.
but like we won't have gas stations. Like
Well, you
so
will,
many.
because I think those footprints and that real estate's going to have a role, and I think it's going to change because when you start to get to serious fast charging, there's a place for them. You're not going to have nearly as many, but they're going to be there. The other thing is you've got Shell and you've got BP now quite aggressively converting parts of their service stations and building charging stations. So the business is changing. I think it's very interesting to me is how much money is in charging when you've got every utility out there, producing electricity knows all about this, and none of them have got into vehicle charging. None of
Well,
them.
I
What do you
I would
what do you
have
think
thought
they
by
know?
now.
What do you think they know that the others don't?
But I don't know. FPNL came over and said like if you buy an EV,
Mm,
we will install instead of for a lease
mm,
a charger in your house for only $38 a month. I
mm.
thought that was the coolest thing. I mean, like my car use, I don't drive that much, but
Right,
my car does maybe, I don't know, 120 a month
right,
in
yeah,
gas.
yeah, yeah.
And I got friends with actually, I got friends with Escalades who are now regretting that choice because it's like 140, $180 to fill the tank.
Yep, yep. That's the
And
General
those
Motors
people,
LDs.
yeah, no, it's terrible. So 38 bucks a month, I would pay that in a second.
Well, the other thing
So
that's got to happen with charging too is it's good with we've got a charger here and we've charged my wife's car all the time. So, but single family homes are great, but apartments, people that don't have garages and so on, that's got to be fixed. And so the end game on charging is obviously speed, but it's also Wi-Fi. It's not going to be you're not going to have cords lying around. You're going to have a Wi-Fi way of doing it, and that's a huge challenge. And there's a lot of very smart people getting into that, and that's what you're going to see. You're not going to have plugs and things going on in the future.
that's brilliant. I hadn't even thought about it, mainly because the only wireless charger that I have it right here in my office, and it's really slow.
Yeah,
Like I bought a 45-watt thing for this,
right.
and it charges the entire phone in 53 minutes.
Yeah.
And the wireless thing is like pitiful. It takes two
Well,
hours.
I've got multiple wireless ones, and each one I've got has got better than the last one, so they're all
Ah,
improving. But there's a
okay,
lot of
great.
wireless. But wireless charging is absolutely well. Here's the thing: in buildings, particularly in Europe, and you know this, you've got a lot of old buildings. You can't rewire them to do these charges, so you've got to come up with another solution, and that has got to be wireless.
Yep,
It's got to be, you know, it's
that's
a big deal.
oh, that's absolutely brilliant. So before the storm damages my wireless, it is really incredible out there. Oh my god, terrible. So you know you know how it is. You're talking to a CEO, you're talking to a CMO. You have several candidates. Some of them are what Irving used to call or still calls POA, people of age.
Yes.
So what would you tell? And you are 100% in an advisory position. I mean, like that's what you guys do. What would you tell that CEO, that CMO about hiring a candidate that's 55, even 60 years old?
Well, it's very funny you say this because I know quite a few that are. The first thing is it's not your genetic age, your actual age. It's how you think, and so you need to when you're looking at someone, don't look at their biological age. Think about their actual age. Um, most of the people I work with don't even have any idea that I'm 72 years old, because I don't
You're
behave like.
72?
Yeah, I'm 72. Yeah. So I don't behave like a 72. I still ride 100 miles a week on my bike. I run most mornings, and I still play video games like an idiot. So I think that, my advice is don't look at the actual age. Look at their mental age, and look at their mental flexibility, because that is, I think, the key. Because you can find people in their 20s that aren't mentally flexible.
Right.
No business can afford to have people who don't have mental flexibility, regardless of age. I think that that's really the essential thing. The other thing is that I always watch this when I'm talking to people, how much they talk about the past. And if people are dwelling on the past, I just see ya. Because,
Yep.
yeah, I focus my entire life on things that I can fix, and things I can impact, and I don't on the things I can't. I just don't. And the only time I bring up the past is when someone asks me to, because I'm looking to the future, and that's the business I'm in. I may leave a trail of destruction behind me. I have no idea. I'm not looking over my shoulder.
Well, that's a really good policy, though. Like, okay, whatever. Après moi le déluge.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Right. So
Yeah.
no, that's great. Well, Ian, thank you very much. I'll go check what's outside with this store. I don't know.
I would
It's not a big store.
get your Wellington boots on before you go outside.
Yeah. No, it's been like this every afternoon. It just happens. It used to happen in June,
Hmm.
and now it's slowly, gotten later, later, later. But that's Miami for you.
Well, we've got here, we're on the coast in Long Beach, and we get what they call June gloom, which goes into July, which goes into August, and it's currently in September.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is very true. So anyway, thank you very much. It's it's early for you, so go and do some work or something. It's
Oh,
late
I
for
got
me.
plenty.
I'll probably go to the gym and show all these young people how to bench press.
Well, remember, you're closer to a martini than I am too.
Yes. All right, man.
Pleasure.
Great to see you. Enjoy. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.